Hello. Welcome to the next installment in the series. Alright, notice that I made a few more buildings. I was working on a tree. It's half finished. I don't really want to finish it. This is an oratory. It's based off of one found in Ireland. I would show a picture of it. It's on Wikipedia. I believe it's called Gallus's Oratory if you want to look it up. I think I'm too lazy to put a picture in. I'm really not in the mood to download an editing software yet. Anyway, it's made in the 12th century, has a very unique shape. I think it's based off of kind of like a style that was pre-Roman, so what the Celtic people would have made. I believe that's what it would be based on. Anyway, Ireland has some very unique, interesting buildings like these. Like there's Irish round towers associated with monasteries and stuff like that. Very cool. Just kind of a generic building, not really worth looking at. This would be a 14th or 15th century townhome, and this would have been appropriate in basically anywhere in Europe except maybe Eastern Europe. You'd probably find this as far east as Bohemia or like the Czech Republic. You'd see something like this in like a town. Unfinished. Same as that, but just red. Red was an easy dye to get back then. Anyway, the main point of today is that I've come up with the idea for the project that I want to do. I am going to start small, but basically I want to recreate the first Norse settlements that existed in Greenland. As most of you probably know, sorry, my throat. As most of you probably know, Christopher Columbus wasn't the first one to discover America. It was the Vikings. First they came from Greenland. They traveled from Iceland to Greenland around the year 1000. And then from Greenland, they went to America in... Oh, they don't have bricks. Soon after. And then they kind of just chilled there for 500 years. Then they disappeared for a variety of reasons. Anyway, I want to build that in Minecraft. A Norse Greenlandic community that would have existed at that time. We don't know a ton about them. As far as we can tell, it's pretty, not typical, but it was a small community, so there isn't a ton to build that is direct from history, but there was one cathedral built. Cathedral in quotation marks. Because it wasn't humongous or anything, but it was built. It was the most ornate building in Greenland at the time. So I'm going to try and build that. We don't know a lot about it. There's ruins. If you look up Greenland Cathedral ruins, I'm sure it'll pop up. I don't know the pronunciation, but it's something like Garder. I wonder if this melts. I think it's sticking. We might use that in the build. Ideally, we would build these in survival, but it might take some time. Anyway, So we know a few things. One, red sandstone is the type of rock that it was made out of, which is interesting because you don't see a lot of that in Iceland, or not Iceland, in Greenland. So it would be interesting to know where it came from. Probably incorporate some granite. The problem is that there isn't a lot of deep red blocks like that. At least that look like rocks. So I have to mess with that. Another thing that was interesting is that there was evidence of green stained glass. So we'll make sure to implement that as well. But yeah, we'll just get started. It won't be perfect, but it also won't be very big. Okay. This is nice. Yeah. So something maybe people didn't know. Most cathedrals were built in this cruciform shape, which is basically just a cross, kind of like the Christian cross. And we do know that the cathedral built in Greenland was this shape. The only thing that exists is the foundation, which is made out of red sandstone, and I am going to assume that the rest of it was that way as well. Hence the mangrove wood. Obviously it's not that low. It's one thing I don't like about Axiom's Infinity Reach. In fact, I think I'll take that off. Anyway, I don't think the portal is that big. Portal is a fancy word for church door. I think that's an appropriate size. This might be just a prototype. Because... Oh, I have World Edit, I think. I've been using Axiom a lot, but I think World Edit is better for some other cases. Yeah. Screw World Edit. Yeah. Oh. Let's see. In fact, I think I'm going to look up Romanesque architecture, Nordic countries. We'll see if there's any surviving examples. Because if they were to be inspired by anything, they would have been inspired by ones in Norway and stuff like that. Here we are. Sorry, 2. So it's pretty standard Romanesque architecture, I would say. Lund Cathedral. Knew about that one. Standard windows in the front. Portals, apps. German Romanesque. And then it's almost as if as soon as you hit, it's pretty standard, very comparable to, oh, this will be interesting, Denmark. Oh, that's an interesting one, too. Okay. I think this is our best representation. In addition to these wooden buildings, there are in Norway some stone torches. Cathedral of Trondheim, or Nidaros Cathedral of Romance Crossing, and Lantern Tower at the center. I think we'll specify. Well, that one's cool. Anyway, come back to this website. I like this website. That is Gothic. Okay. So we know this one is pretty standard, just standard Romanesque windows and basic design. That's a pretty one. We'll have to build a stave church when we get to Norway. I guess I should clarify, the main idea of the project is hopefully we can build examples of buildings from each area in the medieval world. So we're going all the way from Greenland to Japan and Northern Africa. And we'll probably do sub-Saharan Africa and everything, even though there isn't a humongous example of that kind of, there isn't very much surviving documentation, but oh well, we'll figure it out. It's a pretty one. Wow. That is pink. How'd they make it look like that? Anyway. We know the layout. So I think we'll do kind of a standard window in the center. Do a slab like, I like granite for slab. Use red. This is one example of like a really small, it's good at making a small window that is a little arched. Might try something else too. In fact, I wonder how that is. It's interesting. Maybe a little too narrow. Yeah, maybe that's a little better. Yeah. I mean, you can't get smaller windows than that. You don't usually see windows at the floor level like that. Um, go back to that. We can get rid of it later if we need to. Ah, crap. Takes some getting used to. Okay. There's the towers. That might be an interesting take. Let's try this. So there's this. Oh, I don't like that. We'll fix it later. Do that, and then this is a really big tower. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. This could be interesting. I think that's cool. We're definitely doing that. Just an interesting thought I had. It's been a while since I've been in high school, but last time I was in high school, I remember there was some kids talking about, they were talking about a banana bomb. So the premise is that bananas contain potassium, or they didn't even know that. What they did know is that bananas were slightly radioactive. So is everything, but we'll get to that. I wonder if they did use stone roof. The other churches used a sod roof and driftwood. Would this one have been fancy enough for that? I don't know. However, I think I am going to texture the front of this for a little bit. Anything darker than mangrove wood? I don't think so. Excuse me. Wow. Okay. Nope. It's brighter. So maybe what we'll do okay. I think that looks pretty good. And then this can be the bell tower. Though historically, bell towers were separate. At least in this time period, I believe. So maybe it's just a tall building. Some trying to remember how to build windows. It's been a second. There we are. That's where they come from. These windows are a little too big. You'll notice that there's no overhangs. I know that looks better in Minecraft, but most buildings were not that way, so I tried to avoid them. It's not to say they don't exist, but there's no practical purpose for one to be here. Okay. That's another one. These definitely got windows. This might be a little too far apart. It's not even center. Oh my gosh. It's a pretty good window, I'd say. That also makes me able to do this one. See, now it's all come together. You can imagine them building something like this. Of course, we'll do texturing and stuff like that, but I like to get the shape done first. Oh yeah, I was talking about a banana bomb. Oh man, I think I'll just do a separate video on that. That is way too much to get into, and I don't have the mental acuity for that right now. Let's make it a solid block. Extra pointy for no reason. This was the richest building in all of Greenland, so it makes sense that it will be kind of nice looking. That's better. I think they only need one. Definitely on this wall. These need some bracing. Doesn't really add anything shaping wise. At least it doesn't look like it does. Oh, there it is. You can kind of tell it means something. Do that, and it'll look even better over here, too. We'll come back to that one. Rhodium, palladium, silverware, and cadmium, and indium, tin, xanthum, iridium, and iodine, and wait. There's use hydrogen and helium and lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon everywhere, nitrogen all through the air, and oxygen so you can breathe in fluorine for pretty teeth, neon to light up the sign, sodium for salty times. Magnesium, aluminum, silicon, phosphorus, and sulfur, chlorine, and argon, potassium, and calcium, so you'll go strong, scandium, titanium, vanadium, and chromium, and manganese. This is the periodic table. Noble gas is stable. Halogens and alkalines react aggressively. Here you can see new outer shell. The electrons are added, moving to the right. You know, I've thought hard. I think I'm going to start over. This is a proof of concept. There are some things I like really well. I think this was a creative shape. You don't see that typically in Romanesque buildings, but that's okay. It has a very particular vibe I like. I like how it kind of climbs to the back. It's odd I can't climb in. Can do that with other times. Anyway. I think I like the shape. I think what I don't like is... Let's start with the first one. This is probably a little too fancy for that place. For Greenland. But we're elaborating, so I think it's okay. It doesn't have to be a perfect rendition. There is no green stained glass, which was literally part of the requirement. And the only things we know about it we didn't include. Maybe we'll... We could put it in the front, actually. That would look good. Because that was the other thing. The stained glass windows are probably pretty small. So this way we're being authentic, I would say. Put that right there. There we are. Anywhere where there's tiny windows, we'll put them. It's so dark you can't see it. We'll see how that flies. You still can't tell it's green. That's a little better. We'll do it in other places too. Maybe along the sides like that. Anyway, there we are.